All right. Good afternoon. Welcome to the All the Marbles match. This is it. No more, nothing else after this. This is the best of three finals, game three, the co-op tournament. Link to the Past randomizer 2024.
Doesn't even
We
come out right.
have
I tried to find
GGW and Gammachuu facing off
Yeah,
versus Gem and
I tried to
Telethar.
find a gift
Well,
for
I mean, this is because game three,
GGW.
which means they
Have you
split
watched
the first two
Village Pet
games
Exo's
1-1. So
Adventure?
this is going to be for everything. I'm Claire Mouse. I'm with the one and only Wall Kicks. How's it going, Wall Kicks?
Yeah.
Hello. You know, I'm pretty sure in their chat, in their pre-race chat, they said they're going to make this a best of 69.
Fuck, Matt.
Oh,
So,
okay. You're right. You're right. My bad. I
we only
apologize.
have 66
Like a
more
stoner
potential
movie from
races
the
to
90s.
go after
I'm
this.
so glad that you're here doing math for me, Wall Kicks, because that is one of your primary talents of this commentary duo.
But no, yeah, this is the end. This is game three. The winner will be crowned champion. And like both, if you watched the first two matches last weekend, you knew how close they were. I think even
No,
game two, it came down to, I think Gem and Telethar actually finished at the exact same time, but Gamma had, I think, just enough of a lead to let GGW take the win at the end.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's right. Yeah, game two was actually same mode as this game. It's gonna be it's 80 starting boots, and I think it was something like a 7-second difference. It was actually something super tense. Yeah, and yeah, Gem and Telethar finished right around the same time. But it happens to be that there was some early efficiency that Gamma and GW really took advantage of because of the early pen knowledge, and then watching GW finish on especially Ganon Base 4 was super tense. It's like, is this gonna be enough time to give him back? Oh, I mean, it turns out it wasn't quite enough for them to sweep out the series, but that's it's only good news for us because we get this wonderful game three. I am also glad to see everybody having starting red boots. Wall Kicks, you may or may not be familiar with this particular quirk of starting pseudo boots, which was game one. GGW and Gamma were not, I believe, aware of the pseudo boost's existence until about 7 minutes in. What do you think about that, Wall Kicks?
Sometimes you kick up dust and you're just not even focused on anything, and you're just like, you don't even recognize it. Yes, I have gone full siege with pseudo boots, not recognizing that I have had boots the entire time. I lost that race by 15 seconds.
Really? well, I guess the good news for GGW and Gamma is that I don't think that was the thing that made the difference, at least for the race result.
And you can entirely blame it because it was a ped goal, so like we were probably going to bed at the same time.
No.
But because I'm walking and my opponent is dashing, they probably went out.
Unfortunate, but you know what? Everyone here, there's no keys, right? There's no entrances, but it is all dungeons. It's pretty much as complete as it's gonna get, right? And everybody sees that bright red boots icon on their tracker. They don't even. I know that some people like to manually click on the boots, on the tracker, but I think these guys are all more technology inclined, so they got a little bit more of a system. I really like the sync, by the way.
Are you calling me technologically not inclined?
Well, not for tracking. I believe you are one of the original, users of the mouse, right? And I kind of feel like it's underappreciated. Like mice work very hard. I'm just saying, and I'm glad that you still have, you have employment for them.
I mean, to be fair, I am very technologically challenged, so do not fret. I mean, I gave Sinak when I won the mystery tournament. I gave him a notepad doc of my weights, and he's like,
"Did you do bottom?
YAML, dude." I'm like, "What the heck is a YAML?" Anyway,
it's perfectly normal. I think it's fine. By the way, okay,
we have a race to talk about.
Right. Yeah. And honestly, and actually, this looks to be pretty good in terms of starting equipment. I mean, so we do start with boots. Certainly, that's going to be a plus. They're going to look for stuff. But I mean, honestly, the start equipment, we see a flute. Already, we see a bow, one of my personal favorites. We also do see a bug net on Telethar and Gamma's side. I do feel like that's also maybe a potential, favorite item. I do see it looks actually like GW and Gem are kind of take the similar starts and routes, and Gamma and Telethar are kind of, so it's actually kind of nice. I'm glad these guys are coordinating the Eastern Forest, so it's not like diagonals. Just seem to see the same sync screen as opposed, it's just like up and down or like left and right. That's also, that's always way nicer.
Yeah, and it's interesting. So we're seeing a little bit of like GGW and Gem are kind of cleaning up the Kakariko area, while Gamma and
Ist eher
Telethar are
mittlerweile
leaving and
Body
kind of
away from
letting
Zora.
Gem and GGW finish it up.
Okay.
Gamma
like I'm
going
not doing
to the
ice
mountain
skate.
first, while Telethar is now heading off to South Shore. I don't know. I'm looking at the trackers, and it looks like Telethar maybe didn't pick up the powder, which I think was probably in Blind's Hut, which is why he was able to kind of get out of Kakariko first.
Yeah, yeah, and the I think especially this may be more commonly seen during spoiler is like if you kind of like scout through Kakariko, you know, it's actually just you save a lot of amount of time just to like save and quit,
50
you know,
rupees
out
set
of like
for
Blind's Hut, save and quit out of Magic Bat, save and quit out of the well, right? You just have to, you know, you can just to save that much extra time by like walking out, especially Blind's Hut, right? So. Or maybe you don't have to go in at all, you know, if you don't end up needing it. And given that there's not really like any enemizer, there's not really, you know, entrance, it's not really, you know, swordless.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about swordless. You know, like maybe safety.
We don't need to talk about that mode.
You're right. You're right. Well, but right now, currently, unfortunately, we are experiencing some symptoms of swordless, and that we're not, you know, we don't have one. However, we are guaranteed to find at least two.
Telethar has a sword.
Oh, you're right. Where he does get this sword
It'll
from?
be here in Mini Moldorm Cave along with the.
Oh, okay. Okay, perfect. Okay.
On Gamma's side, he found a glove on the old man.
Oh, okay. Well, that's actually pretty fast then. I wonder what that lamp is, considering it's nowhere to be found. Do not, you know, worry about your power bills.
So
Ari, thank you so much.
But I don't need anything else, yeah.
Welcome. I think Ari actually was just restreaming Matt versus Schultzer in the Ladder Veterans Invitational. Yeah, so
that was a barn burner of a match. I was watching that before this one. Not going to spoil the results for those interested in watching it, but definitely one that had a lot of back and forth and a lot of like just when you think someone is in the lead, someone else gets something, and you're like, oh, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, that's the nature of rando races, right? And I guess, you know, the main difference between like co-op and solo is that you kind of have like a buddy, you know, in theory, to kind of help you kind of balance out, you know, maybe like the lower, you know, like you won't have to last locate this one particular area because you can maybe just send your partner over, right? You can always maybe potentially be a little bit more aggressive, right? You know, you don't have the hammer when you're in Thieves Town. No problem. We'll just try and finish it. There's something there. Get your partner to come back with a hammer, especially if there's nothing back there. Right in the back of Thieves Town. So.
And speaking of hammer, Gem has a nice hammer.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. That is actually correct. So we are actually pretty. Actually, we have a glove. He set off the old man. No lamp to be found, but I'm sure it'll turn up. Maybe it'll turn up at Eastern.
So this seems like a very likely an Eastern or Magic Bat kind of play.
True. We actually do have that. Yeah, we have the hammer. I did not think of. You just mentioned that we had the hammer, and I did not make that connection to Magic Bat.
It's all good. I do see that GGW is going to get the glove. I wonder if he's leaving Ice Rod Cave for Gamma because you know that when it comes to co-op, you know, both runners you're trying to communicate A, where everything is, and B, trying to figure out like the most efficient route for each other.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So by the way, okay, so we do actually have our full Dark World access, not necessarily in Logic yet because we don't have the lamp. But you know, it's out there somewhere. But we did find the Pearl in Eastern. We also did find a Master Sword on Zora Ledge, and a little bit of cash refund. I think. Yeah. I think Gem has enough ammunition in this case to try to take
He's got to do this in one go.
Nice. Very well done. Yeah, early sword, especially in Gem's hand. I mean, honestly, for any of these guys, but the early sword is always appreciated.
I guess I get
now, that being said, though, I don't know if Teldar's gonna get that one because, you know, there's nothing on Zora. I mean, maybe if you know times become a little bit more desperate, right? He is willing to go get that sword, but you know, until then, you know, maybe he's gonna save himself over that minute.
Definitely possible, but I mean, just having that knowledge of a sword being there is advantageous for Gem and Telethar as they move along the seed.
Oh no, yeah, that's definitely for sure. I did not unfortunately catch how many items there are. According to Telethar's tracker, it does look like there's one item. I did not catch him going into the Eastern Palace Big Key chest, so that might be a delegation to his partner. Or he'll just find the item, you know, on Armos, right?
I skipped Eastern Big Key chest.
Yeah, that definitely feels like it, and it's gonna work out a little bit in their favor because Gem is about to be picking up this glove in from the old man. So you know, chances are the item is, I'd say, more likely gonna be on Armos Knights. I don't ask how this works out. I'm just.
Because this is out of Logic and the real glove might be on.
Saying.
Yeah. Well, we don't actually. Yeah. Until I think we end up finding out where this lamp is, we're gonna have to see.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, but I mean, as you postulated before, like Magic Bat is definitely very much an option. We actually do see that in this case, the Eastern Palace Big Key is actually not lamp lock. Maybe there is nothing, you know, in here. Maybe there's just another glove at
Alright, I
Agina,
lost the
you know,
50.
and the lamp is in Dark World, and we're just never gonna find out until later.
I mean, with the hammer, with the flute, with the mirror, all
you.
available, readily available. You know, East Seth Mountain is open to us.
Mhm.
Another place that could significantly
Oh,
be
true,
where
true, very much true.
where the flute
Yeah.
or where the lamp is. Excuse me.
Right, right. We did find like the mirror was a mini Moldorm along with that very nice sword, so
Mm-hmm.
certainly going to be quite nice. It looks like actually so Chalothar's going to try and clean up at least Ice Rock Cave a little
I have
bit.
4
Probably not
bombs
going to.
and
Oh, there
5
was a fire
arrows,
rod
and
I
I'm
did
going
catch
to...
in Waterfalls. You probably I assume you'll end up water walking over there.
Set, or...
Yeah, you're definitely gonna want to water walk that, especially since we're picking up the hammer right now.
An extra 5 arrows.
And again,
so
it just these small things that you know, Gem and Telethar are effectively breaking up the route. Is kind of giving them again a little bit of an advantage here. You know, we see GGW and Gamma both in Eastern Palace at the same time, which is fine. You know, this is AD, you have to do all the dungeons, but you know, you're not seeing one runner finding anything new at this point. It's gonna now be on GGW to kind of take the next. Okay, where are we going? To figure out our next course of action. Meanwhile, Gem and Telethar have Dark World access, and that's not going to happen until
I'm not getting the sword.
until GGW and Gamma go to Ice Rock Cave.
Right.
And even then, that is Dark World access. Does GGW go to the Zora area and find the Fire Rod and Second Sword?
No.
Yeah, no, you're definitely very on point with your analysis, and that especially early on. I mean, even mid game, you know, this is also like pretty true. Is that like discoverability, you know, of different items, you know, especially in when there's like not keys involved, it's just like regular items. It's just that much more important to have the knowledge, you know, like Gem and Telethar also know about the sword on Zora Ledge a little bit earlier, you know, than GW and Gamma. That also could potentially help them out, you know, because maybe they just never end up going over to, you know, that area. I would imagine GW would maybe do that, at least Waterfall, because he's here and he's got money, but still, you know,
he has Zora money, so and he's setting it up. He's setting up the water rock right now, so yeah, I can see him doing this.
You want to just start
Except I think he just botched it because he forgot that he doesn't actually have flippers, so he can't just jump into it like that.
It's okay that he's just redoing it. So Scylla, fake flippering, water walking might be a little bit of a sore point. Not gonna try and bring up any bad memories. This was maybe one of the things that if circumstances were a bit different, they could have actually sequence broken out as Ledge. Despite their name being Bumper Ledge United, you know, that it does seem to be maybe their team name could, you know, be a bit more inclusive, unfortunately, for other ledges that unfortunately also too may or may not cost them some race results.
Desert Ledge, anybody?
Desert, yeah, yeah. Sometimes it just happens. You don't scout it. You know, it's only a handful of seconds to scout it. I mean, some people don't, depending on what your risk, you know, reward profile is, and you know, if there's like Tamari on there or a book, and you're suddenly very interested in it.
Yeah, and so knowing that the glove is locked behind the lamp, and not having any other access, and like that being our clear Dark World access, you know, it's very likely at this point that the lamp is just sitting in East Seth Mountain, and it looks like Telethar's gonna head over there. I was a little interested to maybe wonder, like, you know.
Oh, okay, there's a lamp on Spec Rock.
Oh, it's on Spec Rock. All right, well.
It's okay. All right, well, everything's logic. It's all fine.
There you go. I was wondering because, like, you know, the lamp isn't the most important item for, you know, the quality of runners that we have on screen, and so, you know, knowing that both runners essentially just have Dark World access, do you say, okay, let's maybe, you know, start working on some of the Dark World stuff that we have access to? Because with normal Dark World access and the Fire Rod, I mean, one person can essentially start Village and do, you know, Skullwoods and Thieves Town. The other one can go straight to Pod because he can flip their Pod. You know,
oh yeah, good point. Yeah.
At this point, there's definitely a lot of. This is a very open seed at this point.
Yeah. I mean, right. We pretty much have, regardless of your, you know, definition of playable mode / items, right? I think we have them all covered, right? Maybe no hook shot, but we got the mirror, we got the, you know, we got the flute, we got the, you know, we got our boots, we got our sword, right? Like everything, you know, as you said, like we're just so many options. Yeah, we don't have Mist right now, but I mean, we have all access to Dark World, you know, as you said. We just maybe have convenient access maybe to some of the Dark World locations. I also did notice, by the way, so this is maybe a little bit more, fortunate. Okay, one, GW just has enough bombs to get type game. But also, two, Gem went over to Zora area before he did Eastern, and so he had a much easier time, and Scylla out the sword on Zora Ledge. I think GW either he dropped in a bunch of bombs. I think he tried to reset it, but it did not look successful. So unfortunately,
because
he's
still sitting on that fighter sword. Yeah.
But I mean, maybe it should be fine. We're gonna see in this case if Gamma is willing to go out. I don't know. Would you go out of your way, even knowing the sword right now, and you're here? I assume you still wouldn't go, but maybe you would.
I mean, Gamma would run into the same thing that he would have to reset the Ancilla, and I couldn't tell you how to appropriately reset Ancilla. Although it looks like Gamma is gonna give it a shot.
Okay. I mean, well, I did hear I hear the lamp helps a lot. If you maybe spam the lamp, if you drop 6 bombs or something, I don't remember. I don't really know quite the details. But I will say that it was also Gamma in game 1 who managed to Ancilla Fake Flipper out. The Zora Ledge item 2, 3, 4. Okay, we dropped 4 bombs. Maybe that's enough.
Ether.
Okay,
And
it was enough. Okay, all right. Well, Gamma knows how to do this. So
Flippers,
that's great on him. Speaking of, Paradox has the flippers and Samaria.
and the hook shot.
And the hook shot. Okay, cool. Okay, well, we are we in go mode yet? Mole kicks.
Almost.
Okay. We need the mitts. That's all we need.
Yeah.
And probably ice.
No, it's probably an ice rod. Probably
nothing was in back
another medallion.
Right? Aside from bombs.
And this is going to kind of be, when I discuss like, with normal Dark World access, you just have, you can probably essentially just have one runner go village, one runner go pod, and maybe try to hold out on doing the mountain. That's not going to work out for Gamma and GGW.
Fighter sword 4 hearts.
Yeah, and that was actually another one of the things. Even though the margin was pretty thin in game 2, one thing that GW and Gamma really did focus on was a lot of just dungeon diving. And I think part of the things that maybe ate up a little bit of extra time, for Gem and Telethar, is they did a lot more overworld. Now that being said, it all depends on where the items are. Like GW found Babos, for example, that we don't have eyes on in the medallion entries, for the later dungeons. But that could be required. But of course, if it's not, right, that's just going to be another time cost, right, that GGW and Gamma is going to incur.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and the fact that there's no keys while it is only AD. We do need maybe a handful of other additional items, maybe compared to like a regular 7/7, but the amount of stuff that you're still looking for actually is surprisingly not that high, right? It's probably only in the teens of stuff. Right, especially split over 2 people, all the extra stuff, like the more you do, I mean, it's incremental, but you can still bleed certainly a good amount of time, and sometimes against co-op, for formidable foes as GW and Gamma or Gem and Telethar, it's something you're really not willing to sacrifice.
Yep, and we did see a map check on Gamma's side. Our pendants today: Ice Thieves and Skullwoods.
Okay, Ice Thieves and Skullwoods. Okay. Would you maybe? Is it maybe possible? Would you try and save Skullwoods for last, so you can do a pet pull?
That's. I don't know yet. Maybe, but we'd have to see kind of how the items are shaking out. The early fire rod. Well, I'd say early. It's behind the flipper, so it's not maybe as early in logic as one would expect.
Yeah, well, right now, Gem and Telethar have that knowledge, but Gamma and GW haven't been over to the mountain, at least East of Mountain yet. They don't quite know where, in this case, they know that their sword, considering right now, is out of logic. They think the fire rod's out of logic, and they don't know where that lamp is. But but at least to everybody's credit, right? This is actually one thing that I think another one of the things that maybe helped Gamma and GGW in game 2 was there. Mentioned this earlier about potentially splitting things up more. Gamma actually did climb Aga Tower. So he actually can give GGW some time to actually go explore the rest of the mountain, because otherwise, they kind of ran out of stuff to do, and instead of having Gamma sit idle, right, he actually still was able to go and make progress, right? Just like here, you actually see 4 runners in completely different dungeons. I mean, with the exception of Gem and GGW at least, right? But it's completely different. New information for everybody kind of involved. It's and this is kind of the peak parallelization, right, of co-op efficiency.
Yeah, definitely, and it's, these runners are here at the top for a reason.
Oh, for yes, yeah. We have probably. I think I was thinking earlier. Oh, look, hey, there are myths in swamp. Something.
I mean, like again, this is just working out very well for Gem and Telethar. Like, you know, at this point, you know, we could be as little as Ice Rod for Go mode, and you know that means that literally everything Gamma and GGW are doing are just going to be not worth anything. You know, it's being able to, you know, like, sure, it might be like, oh yeah, you know, Gamma is just doing stuff along the way in Thieves Town, but like stuff adds up. You know, you go much faster when you're in Go mode than when you're not in Go mode.
Yeah, well, that is like 100% true. I mean, so in this case, like GGW and Gem are both in pod, and they're gonna flow clear pod, right? So at least it's gonna be like kind of a wash between the two runners. But yeah, like you know, if you have one person, you know, full clearing swamp, right, not even worrying about left side, right, versus just like a Go mode swamp, like that is quite big. Thieves Town maybe not, you know, as much of a difference, like as one, you know, because I think you kind of do have to visit a lot of corners. But even like the difference itself though between Go mode Thieves Town and not Go mode Thieves Town is non-trivial, right? It's not like, you know, minutes, right? But it's like
left side swamp,
you know, for how thin the
could
margins
be a
are
big
for
peak
timing.
there.
It's
I
not.
mean,
It's not
if you can just go straight to whichever the front four chests have the big key, you know, Gamma in the big chests, you know, maybe that's something that Gem and Telethar skip, and that's, you know, 10 to 15 seconds right there.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's not maybe like as like, oh my gosh, it's like, you know, like minutes worth of difference, but you know, you add you think about 10 to 50 seconds here.
Yeah.
You think about maybe, you know, they're like, you know, another 10 to 15 to 20 to 30 seconds maybe. Yeah, you know, full clear even the front of Thieves Town versus going directly to the chest, right? You know, like it all adds up, right? And
yeah, just skip IC.
And I do see that Telethar does have Ether. I'm assuming that was picked up probably in Swamp.
Oh, good point. I did not also notice this. All I saw was myths, but yeah, you're probably right.
And given that GGW has Bombos, you know, that is 2 of our 3 medallions. And Telethar is just, you know, he's going to be hyper aggressive at this point, knowing that they could potentially be one item for Go mode. I'd be a little curious, like I would have been a little curious about maybe going to see the Meyer medallion, just to kind of give at least a little bit of knowledge of, do I need to be slightly more thorough, and you know, because I might be looking for a second medallion, or if that is, you know, either be like, okay, I'm just gonna, you know, assume that we are Ice Rod Go for this point, and you know, start doing some significant skipping and significant, you know, just trying to go as fast as possible. So I'd be. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna ask. I mean, so at this point, like, you know, you talked about actually going scouting the Meyer area. So that's actually just like a kind of like a food away, right? Would you at some point try and go scout Dark Death Mountain for the TR medallion, or you just kind of hope in this case that you're just gonna have the medallion?
I'd be much more interested in holding off on going up the mountain until I'm like much more confident that either I'm not gonna go up there just to scout the medallion. Is kind of my thought.
All right,
I'm gonna go up there, hopefully assuming that I'm going into Turtle Rock, because like if you're going up there to scout the medallion and you have the medallion, well now you're kind of forcing yourself to go inside. And like Gem and Telethar haven't done any of the Village of Outcasts area yet, you know, haven't done Meyer Desert yet. Like there's still a lot of other places that the Ice Rod can be, and you could suddenly find yourself committing to a dungeon that you're double dipping that you might not have to actually double dip.
Right, yeah. No, that's certainly very true. Like, and you know, like especially, you know, talk about, you know, efficiency and time investments, right? A mountain trip, an extra mountain trip, which is why maybe the Meyer isn't so bad, because it's only probably, I don't know, an extra, I don't know, 15-ish seconds, something like that, in order to kind of even scout it. If you go in, great, right? But the mountain is like over a minute, right? Just to get to Dark Death Mountain. Yeah, I mean, it's not cheap, you know.
And you're already being forced to commit to at least 2 mountain trips this seed, because, you know, the flippers are here in Paradox and the mitts are in Swamp Palace, so you already have to come up here minimum 2 times. And you know, one of the good things you want to try to avoid is multiple mountain trips. So if you're able to avoid a mountain trip, that's always really good. Oh, Ether was just in Paradox.
Okay, you know what? We just found the new hype cave in Paradox. All 5 items were pretty good. I mean, it was a heart piece, you know, kind of buried in there somewhere, but It could have been hard
Yeah.
refill, but that was actually ridiculously good. I also
Yeah.
did forget about you mentioned pendants earlier. Actually, I guess Skullwoods actually is a green pendant, so that's going to be actually another potential check that we can do alongside Pod potentially. In this case, when Gamma goes over there, on route.
Sword
Yeah,
here, actually.
something that he can
Yeah, that
throw
makes
in.
sense.
But I mean, if you're hoping at this
Also,
point,
close
like
to go on,
again,
it's,
Gamma and GGW don't know
go
this, but
either.
like when you start to think, oh, here's one
Or
additional
you
check
fucking
that could pay out, that's usually when things probably aren't going well.
Yeah, for sure.
That's actually a good
I don't
point.
know if that didn't make sense, but like
No. I mean, right? No, it just kind of means that like at some point you don't really kind of think about these scenarios until you kind of, I guess, are shoehorned or backed into these types of things, right? But it's kind of like, all right, what are options, right? We don't have any good options, right? And that could have been a consequence of either maybe just less efficient splitting things up later, or earlier, or you just literally just like, okay, well, I guess you can go check Graveyard Ledge and Catfish, and I can go check in Green Pit. It's like just me based on the nature of maybe how the seed plays out. If you've already exhausted a lot of your good ones, and it may not necessarily be like a good. You don't really feel great about your options anymore.
Right, and we're seeing Telthar's gonna go get the sword, which honestly I think makes sense given that we are potentially so likely close to go mode. If you just have knowledge of the sword, you just I'm just gonna go get the sword now, and then maybe think I'm assuming Master Sword Silverless pretty much the entire time.
Yeah, maybe that's kind of like a downside. Oh, I mean, it's one of the consequences of potentially even playing co-op and no keys. Just on the one hand, you don't need that much, for go mode. On the other hand, you don't need that much for go mode,
True.
And I think we can certainly see in this case, what happens. Maybe they have to go pretty far in GT or something like that. The big keys are still within their dungeons. You still have to go search the basement for stuff, right? Maybe they'll stumble upon Silver's or Sword there, right? But I mean, based on as you mentioned before, we've got 2 medallions, knowledge-wise. We may, it doesn't look like we need anything else other than maybe an ice rod, at this point. So we may not be opening a lot more chests at this point. So
right, and Telethar, I'm just a little surprised we aren't doing a Mire area check, because it is a dungeon that we could potentially clear and do desert while you're there, but these runners are here in the finals. I am not. Did I even join this tournament?
Did you join this? Did you join with Julo?
I
can't
did,
remember.
yes.
Okay, all right, cool. I remember seeing your name at some point here, and I remember I'm like, oh yeah, there is a double Phoenix Right Sprite team here. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay,
we had our fun skipping our our chess game and getting destroyed in multiple races because of it.
I remember thinking that, at least Wall Kicks is with Julo, because Julo will rush Eastern Palace, and anytime that there's something there, Wall Kicks' bases are covered, so...
In theory, we're the perfect team.
Yes. By the way, though, okay, looks like Gamma turned in Green Pendant. It was just, it was nothing. And, okay, look, GGW is actually making its way up the mountain. He's going to find out the logical glove, in this case, and he's going to get all his goodies in Paradox. Now, that being said... you mentioned actually doing desert. It looks like GW found silvers in desert, and also the fact that Gem and Telethar have myths right to the name. Both of them, not even have them. They also have the knowledge, right? GGW ended up doing desert from the front, as in like via the book, as opposed to maybe backdoor. That's again, it's just going to be like a lot of little things. Probably is going to kind of affect the outcome, of this race. Barring kind of like where that ice rod's going to be.
Yeah, it's death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Okay.
We do see that it is Bombos to get into Mire, which is on Dig Game.
Yes, that actually I think is a pretty good result. Better for GGW and Gamma. I mean, not only for us because they have Bombos, right? But you mentioned before, like kind of trying to, potentially you're aggressive, and you're going to do a lot more dungeon clearing because you're just nice rod away from go mode, especially for Gem and Telethar. When do you go do Overworld?
Well, again, this is why I think having that knowledge of knowing that you're still out there looking for a medallion could lead you to be a little bit more thorough in the overworld. Because now, now that Gem and Telethar can't go into Mire, there's probably some slightly less incentive for them to do a lot of skipping. Like I can now see Telethar finishing up the village, potentially doing Smith Chain, which would likely include the dig game, giving them Bombos.
Oh, okay. Good point.
Because if it was Ether, then I think Gem and Telethar essentially skip the entire Smith Chain K45, Stumpy dig game entirely, because at that point they're thinking, okay, we are much more likely just to be in Ice Rod Go mode.
Yeah, and maybe how oftentimes have we seen, especially like the Ice Rod just sitting somewhere in Turtle Rock, right? Mimic Cave, Laser Bridge, right? I mean, that seems to be certainly very common for solo players to go. Is like, I'm looking for the Ice Rod, I'm going to Turtle Rock, and I mean, it does certainly can pay off. And if it doesn't, right, and especially for co-op, maybe you get kind of like a second chance at it too. Because while you're kind of going through Turtle Rock, right, if your partner ends up finding an Ice Rod not in Turtle Rock, right, you can just leave, right, go back, and you can always just nope out early.
And save the portal potentially.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but kind of actually looking maybe at this the sword. Like I don't want to bring up any swordless memories, but it does actually look like when we say at least 2 swords, that might be kind of it so far.
Well,
even with all this explanation.
Jem does have a nice temper that he got.
Oh, he does.
Shed.
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind. All right, the life is comfy. Where did GGW get silvers then? Must have also just missed this.
It might be on. Might be here on.
There's some things you can't.
Oh, maybe on Moldorm. On Moldorm. Land mode. Okay, right.
Which one of them?
But they're all worms. Okay, one's just hides under. You're right. One just hides under the sand, and one just knocks you out into the into the pits. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Land was servers.
All right, so GGW now gonna head to Swamp, going to get all of his stuff. I don't think. I'm assuming Gem and Telethar skip left side, which. Given how much they picked up and like what they have, I think is a super reasonable and appropriate play.
Yeah. So I believe that Telethar and Gem, maybe I don't know about GW or Gamma, but the latest auto tracking stuff does let you auto track like the number of dungeon items that you've seen so far. So I would trust that there's only one item left in Swamp, which is on left side somewhere. So yeah, given that there's one there, especially Telethar who went there pretty early, and I guess Gem. Because in this case his partner told him, hey, they're mids here, right? Like, you're not doing left side just for one sword. That is probably like a 2-minute investment or something, for one item that you may or may not need. And GW and Gamma are going to face a very similar situation, right? Maybe they're more willing to do left side now that they're come here a little bit later, but given they see in this case that they're going to find mitts and that they're somewhat more bottleneck now into getting those mitts, maybe they're also going to skip left side, because they have much more open to them.
At some point soon, I'm going to do Captain Power.
Little bit of an interesting thing, but Telethar went north after doing Thieves Town, so not going to be picking up that bombos just yet. So little bit of a a pendulum might be slowly swinging back towards Gamma and GGW's favor, because I honestly think for the first 30 minutes, Gem and Telethar's routing have been
I didn't get any small
immaculate, and I think it's fair to say that they have a lead here.
Yeah. Well, especially so the early decision go to Swamp, and the fact that I think obviously the knowledge and the fact that we obtained mitts right in Swamp was very big. Telethar went to East Duck Mountain early, and we actually saw that was basically like Light World Hype Cave, right? 4 out of 5 items upstairs, were Hookshot, Samaria, Ether. What else was over there? Something else really important, right? Flippers, right? Yeah, and like the fact that GW and Gam kind of delayed the mountain a little bit. In this case, kind of just, in this case, Flippers, block Swamp, for example, so there'd be a little bit more delay to their mitts.
I have lost.
Now, that being said, though, Ice Rod can very much play spoiler in any race.
Ice Rod is the great equalizer.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even a meme. It's just like the nature of all these rando seeds,
At least our last thing is on Moth.
Yeah.
So if you're GGW,
there's a shield, a map, a compass, and a big key.
Is the sword on Zora Ledge worth it still?
I don't know. I mean, we saw Telethar actually, explicitly going over to Zora Ledge. I mean, granted, he does have flippers, so it's a little bit of an easy, like, he's guaranteed to get the sword as opposed to mostly guaranteed to get the sword, right? Doesn't have to worry about fake flippering or anything. But Telethar seemed to think that it was worth his time.
Yeah. So maybe it'll be worth GGW's time. Although he's having a little bit of a difficult time here on this Argus fight.
Well.
Yeah, the fighter sword it can be not easy.
No.
watching this. I mean, certainly some people who are more practiced on this. I mean, the more practiced you are, obviously the easier they make it look. But it's like when you go and try it, maybe with less experience, it's not as easy as it looks, or as some people make it look.
I mean, the sword just sometimes plays just so finicky. Like you just like you hold your sword out, you get the charge, you hook shot the puff, and then nothing happens after you release your sword. Even though you're like, excuse me, I should have, done the spin. Well, no.
Yeah, well, at least you know what? We have our trusty silver arrows. I'm also glad to see telethar not reading the pedestal. We're just gonna blind pull. Looks like actually he decided to try and just wait it out.
Here.
We'll see. We got the fit. We got 30. We got 10 arrows out of this. Okay,
it was like 10 seconds right there. We talked so much about all the little micro time saves, and we're just throwing 10 seconds away.
You know what? He gets the post ped music. I have no idea what MSU he's using. Maybe he has the post pedestal music, and that's gonna be worth his his time.
Also true.
Investment.
There is some truth to that, yes. And I will admit I've yet to find a good MSU pack that has a good post ped pull music. So yeah, I'm biased on that one.
Yeah. This is gonna be tempered for telethar's, but I think you might be right though. I mean this the South Dark World area for Gem and Telethar, I mean, looking to be a little bit uncertain at the time. I guess and it kind of contrasts to GW and Gamma. Like GW did the South Dark World with at least a game. I don't think any of them did Smith Chain because they're so late to the myths. But Gamma also did like Bumper Ledge and Graveyard Ledge. I mean, I guess he doesn't want to get screwed over with any more ledges and by their team name. Which I mean, I'm fully on board with this.
All right, so we're gonna see our first relatively bit of new info. I mean, although Gem is doing Hera, which I don't think anyone's done.
Right, yeah. This is kind of like it's not Gem's first time on the mountain. I think they both obviously did Paradox. But yeah, it's kind of the first time, at least in the upper part of the mountain. Looks like Gem also did grab the lamp, which is it's pretty free, honestly. And I understand. Probably all 4 games can just close their eyes and do dark room. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's always gonna save time, and especially contrast to the whole it takes what 2 seconds, to pick up that lamp in this case. So it'll definitely be worth the dark rooms.
Precisely.
Yeah, but it looks like though the fact that Gem is over here, imagine this is gonna be a Dark Death Mountain scout, and if it's would you go in if it's Ether? Well, okay.
I mean, if it's yeah, like you're gonna clear Hookshot Cave, you're gonna clear
probably just or something instead of that shit.
The other cave, Super Bunny, and then you're probably gonna go in for sure. Gem almost fluting away.
Yeah. That's it's not okay. Well, guess what? We need our maximum collection of medallions. Actually, we didn't need Ether. But
Quake can't be too far away. Like I would not be surprised if it's here on Dark Death Mountain.
Hey, look, we found boots.
Hey, congrats.
Right after Hookshot.
Can't bonk to that location.
Nope.
Do you know what our 5-6 is?
No, I can't.
Okay, looks like nothing in Hookshot. Did we find anything in Mire, by the way? I didn't actually see anything. Okay, there's one. Gamma. GW has a nice refill.
Yep.
Okay.
Alright, looks like Telethar's gonna head over, probably clean up Front of Escape, and as well do Pago 1 at this point.
We haven't done Front of Escape yet.
Gamma did.
Gamma GW, specifically Gamma has, right. So like they have the knowledge of Front of Escape. I did in this case forget about that Gem
and it is what allowed kind of Gem and Telethar to get a little bit of an early advantage.
Yeah, but as you said though before, right? It kind of depends on this case, like where the items are. Like if something is in the Front of Escape, you would actually see the pendulum probably sit in GW and Gamma's favor for quite some time, as opposed to Gem and Telethar.
Yeah, like at its core, this is a randomizer. Like you can only play, you can only make the plays that you're gonna make, and then it's just up to wherever the item placements are.
Right, exactly.
One of the big inflection points early on in the seed was, okay, you have Dark World access, so your 3 big options are to do East Death Mountain, or Pod, Hype Cave into Pod, or Village of Outcasts. Gamma and GGW chose Pod, Hype Cave, Village of Outcasts. Telethar Gem, one of them chose East Death Mountain, and East Death Mountain was the correct play. It's at its core, this is still a randomizer, so
straight go mode.
Yeah.
Execution be damned. It's gonna be what you choose.
Exactly. Yeah, and this and like every choice has its trade-offs, right? Because if the mountain happens to be empty, I mean, the mountain is actually, while it is very dense, is actually a non-trivial chunk of time, right? Probably on the order of minutes you need to clear out the whole thing. I mean, especially if you're playing solo. Yeah, I mean, like, you're going to go up there because there are probably 15 checks up there, right? So it's definitely very worth your time investment. However, though, as you mentioned, co-op, if nothing there, you'd rather just not spend your time there, and it kind of just gets exacerbated, because kind of 2 people, or in this case, like 4 people, trying to find things, as fast as they can.
Yeah. So I think on Gem and Telethar side, what's going to happen is that once Gem is done with Thief Sound, he's probably going to head south, probably start doing the Smith Chain, which will include Dig Game and thus getting the Bombos. And I think the big reason for that is,
Lumberjack, I guess.
Skullwoods is a pendant, as we talked about earlier. If Gem really wanted to, he could probably put off Skullwoods literally until like he does it and he saves and quit and drops down again.
Oh yeah, that's a great, that's such a very nice point about like all dungeons, in that normally for 7-7, like, you really are trying to, you're in general trying to limit the number of mountain trips you take, obviously, but it's not a, I still need to go up and do, I really need to try and save one more mountain trip for last, so we can go get Ganon, and then we just basically drop on the pyramid, right? But once in this case you have Aga done, right, and you save and quit, yeah, like you'll just land on the pyramid, right? You still need all these dungeons, and especially for like for keys modes, you can actually get pendant big keys in GT, right?
Yeah.
So it's even like these kinds of more like natural by construction, but here you can still use that property and still be able, and if they can use that to your advantage, try and save a little bit of time. Yeah, that's 100% true.
So where is this Quake medallion?
Where is this ice rod? All kicks.
I mean, the ice rod at this point, I think, is just GT. Or not GT,
okay.
Shush.
Turtle Rock?
Turtle Rock, thank you.
Turtle Rock. Hey, it's kind of a tower in a dungeon. Actually, so I think, where have we not checked between everybody? I don't think we saw a catfish check.
Smith Chain, catfish.
Smith Chain, okay.
Pyramid
Did you do magic pad in this loop?
No, I'm fairly certain it was an AK-45 check by someone.
Okay.
I'm not positive, but
okay.
I imagine GGW had to have done it when he was doing Dig Game, because we had the mirror at that point, right? Yeah, we did.
Yes. Yeah. We got the mirror pretty early. Oh, Nobly Allspring, good point. We have Left Side Swamp with 1 item. That might be a last location for everybody. not just either, yeah. I mean, so like one thing, giant turtle. Thank you, GT.
GT yes. Giant turtle.
Yes.
I guess I'll just still do pod.
Yeah, but this is also, one thing about co-op is well, in general, when you play randomize, you really try and not leave yourself like gaping holes, or
right.
like isolated locations. One item kind of in its by its lonesome is much worse than, let's see, even like 2, right? Even like 2 items are left in left side swamp. Maybe you're willing to stay in, and do left side with only 2 items. Maybe that's more incentive for you to come back later. That's more of like a grave. But only with one item. Now I don't know when you're coming back for that, because think about the time investment you take, to go get 1 item versus 2, right? And for co-op, maybe it gets a little bit easier because, again, there are going to be some holes that you can purposely make, so long as your party can go back and fill them. Right, yeah, but here, we're kind of seeing like, unfortunately, Swamp Path admits, and I open up so much more. No one's kind of really willing to go fill that hole, right? So it's probably fine, if everybody last locates.
Okay.
Something.
There's bombos for Gem Telethar, and again, this is kind of the route that I assume that they would be taking, is that Gem is going to be cleaning up the south route area. Telethar is heading over. Looks like to Pod. Did Telethar not? No, Telethar is
also going to turn in. Right, he's also going to turn in Green Pendant too. Was he here earlier? Did he not beat Pod?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I can do a
tracker.
I bet because Gem was here, and then I bet Gem just said their Pod is nothing, and then my guess is that Telethar probably just marked.
But this is auto tracker. Which I am just.
Dang bots. Dang
bots.
Yeah.
Pyramid dead, Saha dead.
Do you think they're the cheap variety of viewers? Hopefully there will be no bots here. I forgot to add that term on Dante's channel, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
I think Ari had in his reshoot.
Oh yeah, that's right. We also did see
Matt
one. Yeah.
had someone trying to get some cheap viewers.
Look, we are okay. We are uppity. We are the 1%. Okay, we only take expensive
We are the
viewers. All right. Okay, tier 3 subs or bust. All right, forget anything else.
See, Ari knows. We only want the rich
Exactly.
ones. Seeing Gem pretty much clear this out. So once this is done, does Gem clean up left side or
Left side swamp?
yes?
Oh, because we're taking
Gem
the
and
purple
Telethar don't
chest.
have much left.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because Quake in this case is kind of locking out Turtle Rock.
So far,
Gem is fluting though, so it looks like we're not gonna do swamp.
Okay.
I mean, this could be the ice rod, maybe. Hopium.
Well, I mean, it could be the ice rod, but that doesn't clear our Quake problem.
Yes, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah. And Orf is right. Like Gem and Telethar both have. Hey, look, we found our other boots.
We found our second
yes.
boots.
Look, we found our real boots. Okay.
Right.
The red ones were just purple colored or something. I don't know. They weren't real.
Oh, no. Gem does Mire. Yeah, duh. He has Mire access. That's a much better play.
Yeah. Well, right. I mean, so there's only 2 items. We saw from GGW said that there is no Quake nor Ice Rod in here. So I mean, I don't remember where GGW found the big key. It looks like though it looks like the middle big key just has an item based on the fact that there is 1 item remaining. The 1 item we did see was a compass chest, which is a heart piece. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know the big key was in the lobby chest.
Oh, lobby? Okay. That's kind of awkward. I mean, it's a good question if Gem will actually end up doing this. You know, again, it's always going to be a trade-off, right? Because if you're the first one here, it's very tempting to... I mean, you can either make the decision to complete the full clear out the dungeon, right? Get everything, and then just tell your partner, you know, hey, like, this is where this is, or, you know, you've kind of maybe seen, like, in Thieves Town, maybe seen Eastern, a swamp, right? It's like, I'm just going to go do the critical path, right? Go straight to the back, get all the stuff on the way. If there's something there, you know, hey, if you come back, let's go, you know, you can finish it, right? I'm not sure if Mire is one of those places, especially this late in the game. You know, GGW for the, like, I don't know.
I mean, you know, another thing influencing their decision is that Gamma and GW have 2 out of the 3 medallions, and they haven't been up to Dark Death Mountain yet. So in their mind, they could just be assuming that they have the medallion needed to get in Turtle Rock.
Oh,
which, you know,
yeah, that's
you've got a
true.
2/3 chance. It's, you know, to them very likely, but it's not. You know, they're gonna get up there and see that, oh no, it's Quake, and suddenly they're gonna be, you know, scrambling a bit.
Right. Well, actually, so as you were actually talking about the mountain, I did maybe think of another location I don't think I've seen anybody else go into, Spike Cave. We did see the cape on Floating Island, so yeah, it is in Logic.
Ew.
Yes, I agree. But I guess it is something. We also found Half Magic. I guess maybe Gem's not the one who... I don't remember where it is, but everybody else has it as well.
Yeah, a little surprised we haven't seen it. I mean, it's... I would say it's here in Mire, but it's not because Telethar doesn't have access to Mire.
I'm also noticing that... Oh, no, it's okay. Gamma's got Temper Sword from everyone from Mire Shed. GW's Master Sword came from Mire Shed. So this is actually going to be also maybe potentially interesting. I don't know how much of a time difference Master Sword versus Temper Sword makes. It actually still might be worth it. You know, if they don't find another sword. You know, maybe GW is just willing to take the extra minute investment or something to go back to Zora Ledge for it. It'll certainly save him time on Ganon alone, let alone probably some of the other bosses. But, you know, maybe he's also willing to take the chance that, you know, among the GT, climb, upstairs, whatever, maybe there's just another 4 sword waiting, in which case, you know, he has just saved, you know, a minute, right? Over actually everybody else.
Yeah, and we're seeing Gem is gonna clean up Mire and get the second item. Which, I mean, it makes sense. You know, they're... Again, still down to very little.
Yeah.
You know, I think this has still just been pretty much from the start kind of a Gem Telethar lead, because, like, you know, Telethar has what, counting 8 out of 11 dungeons done? Because again, he has an AGA 1 kill.
Good point.
You know, that's all time that, you know, that's time that Telethar has banked at this point.
Yeah, yeah, and that's actually true, right? And
Neither of those.
we kind of do see everyone,
actually do
trying
big
to
game
like
and
clean
then
up,
save
a
wood
bunch of stuff.
and still do that north
Looks like it
loop.
is just a red boomerang in the
Yeah, so
Meyer
I
cutscene
don't-
chest. But yeah, like
I found
in
the other
terms of
boomerang in
actual
cutscene
progress
chest.
at the end of the day, whoever does
If
wins
you
the
still
race,
want
or
one.
the team that wins the race is going to be
Got
the
it.
ones that finishes all their dungeon
Yep,
first.
that's the one I
Telethar
would
generally
get
does
if I
look like he
needed
has
one
like a
of them.
dungeon lead
Okay.
against everybody.
It's the red one.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call looking at them.
But I guess, right, because TR's a crystal, as opposed to, we can't go into our giant turtle tower, right, to go look for that ice rod.
And like we're gonna see it now. Like I imagine GGW is just gonna follow Gamma up the mountain at this point. But
So funny.
it's gonna be now what comes next for Gamma and GGW once they realize that they need Quake.
Right, yeah. I mean, I could really see Spike Cave being an option. I guess you're
Yep.
still in the mountain.
definitely
Did
see one
people
of them
check
being
either
Spike
tablet? I can't remember.
I
I assume they did.
I'm
Or Bumper. Yeah,
well,
both would be
Gamma
not
doesn't
good.
have the book according to his tracker, which was in Hype Cave.
I have no memory of where the book was.
I'm fairly certain it was in Hype Cave.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Astro Felipe, hope I said that right. Thank you so much. Welcome in. You're watching the co-op finals between GW and Gamma versus Gem and Telethar. This is for everything. Everything.
Yeah.
Best of 3. Coincidentally, maybe 3-ish weeks worth of time passed. So we are all very interested in taking on the game 3, but here we are. And right now, surprise or not, we are looking for that ice rod and a Quake medallion for go mode.
Yep. And GGW is going to get the sword, which I actually think is kind of smart because this is giving Gamma the opportunity to kind of scout out Dark Death Mountain.
Yeah.
Well, that way GGW isn't necessarily just following on his foot, isn't on top of him. Have we actually seen
feel so bad about doing
it's not
Lumberjack from anybody?
No, but you know what? We're gonna get another just drop down grab of Lumberjack. Did we ever turn the mushroom either?
Someone's definitely turned in the mushroom. Like,
okay.
Because that was something super early. And
oh my gosh!
Oh my goodness!
Oh my gosh! Oh, I can't. Okay, I don't know how many times people have said, "Okay, AD, you do not need to scout Lumberjack. You just go and." Oh my gosh, dude, this knowledge. Oh wait, Wall Kicks, where's the ice rock?
It's in Turtle Rock.
It's in Turtle Rock. Okay. Oh my.
Turtle Rock, Catfish, or Left Side Swamp at this point.
Yeah, holy cow! But this knowledge, though. Okay, well, okay. The good news for GW is that they're most likely going to do a very similar thing to Telethar earlier. Is they're going to beat Aga Tower, right? As you mentioned, this is also going to be giving Gamma a little bit more time to again splitting up the responsibilities. For him to finish up the mountain, and GW has to do this anyway, and he's going to be able to also just blind grab the Lumberjack item, which happens to be quite the same. Oh my gosh.
So at this point, like, does GGW after doing Aga 1 go to Catfish as well? Because again,
that's a great question.
They're still looking for the Catfish medallion. They don't know where it is. I'm assuming.
I like this. I like the name.
Like,
yes,
it's entirely possible that super early on in the seed, we just, I just didn't see GGW check Lumberjack.
I don't think I also saw it. I don't think I saw anybody check Lumberjack. But again, you're right. I also was not watching all 4 screens very intently, for the first like 30 seconds. But I mean, I feel like though, if they knew that Quake was here, they probably would have done Aga earlier. Because then it would have guaranteed them.
To agree, yes.
Right, like entry into TR.
And the fact that Gamma is sitting here doing Spike Cave right now.
Yeah.
I don't believe that they know that they have the Quake knowledge, which, this is where just having the knowledge is just going to give Gem and Telethar the advantage.
But I mean, is he going to make this? He's a fairy? Great, he must have a fairy.
He has a fairy, yeah.
Okay. But again, though, like, we don't know where the ice rod is. We just think that it's probably in Turtle Rock, because that's also, not only, of course, meme, but also slightly data, focus. But if it's just here...
Good shovel.
No.
I mean, you have to.
We saw nothing.
Well, I mean, we saw nothing. We literally have to check it now.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. You know, Gamma's already okay. For what it's worth, it's only like 50 seconds, I guess, to go through Spike Cave and all that. But you are absolutely correct, though. Like so they can't get into TR. So you know, what were the items or item locations we have left? We have this new shovel location. We have Catfish. We have Left Side Swamp. You know, like how many more locations can this medallion be? Oh my gosh, though! Holy
what?
That is the ice rod. The pendulum is swinging.
Yeah.
Is swinging.
Because now Gem and Telethar are essentially probably going to be in Turtle Rock together. Telethar is probably going to be slightly ahead, but you know, Gamma and GGW know that they don't have to worry. Like they have that ice rod knowledge. So.
TR.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's
Vitreous.
Okay, so but I do think that maybe Spike Cave could be a fast follow for TR.
It is absolutely going to be a fast follow, for sure. But they're not going to be able to save the portal because they both have Agadon. So they're going to have to go through Turtle Rock again. Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
So now it's just a matter of how long does it take Gamma and GGW, or GGW specifically, to get to Lumberjack? Because Gamma's doing Smith Chain. He doesn't know about Lumberjack.
Yeah, and it certainly does very much look like in this case that so Gem and Telethar are on a timer essentially for basically whenever GGW goes and checks Lumberjack. We're gonna go do Catfish. It looks like maybe first. We're not gonna go do Catfish.
Timer.
Hobo.
Oh God, gross. like it's a timer, but at the same time, I mean, Gem and Telethar have time banked. You know, Gamma's gonna have to go through the entirety of Aga.
Yeah, well, there's a little bit of uncertainty because so Telethar's going to GT.
I don't think so.
She's going to Giant Turtle right now, okay? And he's gonna go look for it and find not the ice rod in whatever he's searching for. And
I know this already.
Oh, man. Would you? I mean, if you're in Gem and Telethar's position and your partner has already gone over to Turtle Rock. And has seen in this case again the floating island cape reminder. I mean, would you go to Spike Cave first?
I mean, maybe.
Would you go to Catfish first? GGW is going to Catfish. I mean, it's buying them a little bit of extra time. Like, it's very, very much up in the air. Right? Like I said, like the pendulum is like very much in full swing, and I don't know where it's gonna land right now.
Exactly, and again, it just like Gem and Telethar's early routing and communication and how they've split things up have granted them, the time buffer that they are essentially now cashing in.
If you know it's NTR, you should believe in it being NTR. NTR.
All right. Well, we do hear a little bit of team commentary that maybe they just think that the dice. I mean, if you trust some of the Duncan stats too, I think at some point Duncan released like 10,000. I don't know, like open AD whatever seeds, right? And you actually do look at where the ice rod is most commonly located is either on Laser Bridge or Mimic Cave. Like those are the most common locations. I mean, so it's like, when people meme about the ice rods in this vanilla location, on Laser Bridge. I mean, it's right. Like less of a meme than you might think it is.
Are you ready for a not insignificant little time loss right here? In that Gamma is going to be polling Ped just as GGW is going to find out that their go mode quick is right here.
That's right. Yes.
Gamma could have conceivably saved like 10 seconds just now. Had GGW just been able to get there a little bit faster.
All right. Well,
but
so that is
that's you don't expect that.
No, of course not. Because I mean, they're really just trying to clean up, I guess, their straggler locations, right? Like they didn't know what Ped was, and I think Gamma, as you mentioned before, didn't have the book when he was in the back of Skullwood, so he couldn't even check it. But he in this case has just absolutely beelined it in this case to Aga Tower, and so they are in collective go mode. They know where the ice rod is, and because GW Gamma's possession, GW has the quick medallion, and which Gamma's gonna go get soon. And we're gonna see in this case if Gem decides he's gonna just follow his partner into Turtle Rock. So this, this is gonna be a non-trivial amount of time loss for both Gem and Telethar because they're gonna go through. Especially maybe Gem in this case can quit out early because Telethar's already kind of like halfway, mostly ish way done for Turtle Rock.
Yes, but it's still just So like if you're Gem, you're probably gonna get up to probably the big key chest by the time Telethar is able to recognize that the Ice Rod here isn't here. So like, you know, he's still gonna be in a decent position to be able to check Spy Cave. But even then, like, are both runners gonna check Spy Cave, or is Gem gonna flute away and go to Catfish or Left Side Swamp? Like,
yeah, no, that's actually a good question too. Like, because you know, maybe I kind of want to think that maybe Telethar's the one's that's gonna flute away, because he's already gone outside probably. Maybe Gem can just actually still mirror back and still do stuff on the mountain. I don't know. Like, but you know, you talk about this case like scrambling. You know, I'm sure, based on especially previous experience or like kind of listening and some of the reviews, like you know, Telethar probably has some sort of, you know, backup contingency plan. But I guess, you know, at least like it's not going to be, for what it's worth, probably it's not going to be like completely wasted progress on Gem's side either, because they still need the big key, right? So, you know, it's he still will have to go get it. It's just that it'll just be like the double, you know, trip into, you know, TR that's going to be probably costly. But, you know, again, like that being said, though, like again, Gem and Telethar do have a little bit of a time bank. It just, we're gonna have to see in this case if that time bank is kind of, you know, enough to kind of offset the, I guess the 1.5 double dips, I guess, of TR.
And like, you know, this could very easily come down to just how do you split up the GT routing? You know, we talk all about the fact that, you know, this is all, we're largely going to run into an even race, kind of getting and finishing Turtle Rock. Well, then there's GT.
Yeah. I mean, one person goes left, one person goes right. I mean, and it also very well could be, right, that maybe there's no small key in Compass Room or Hope Room, and then and then you gotta like scramble a little bit more, and also maybe depending on how you feel, like, yes, like discoverability is, you know, kind of one thing, but also like maybe you can just get lucky. You know, if two people end up going the same direction and the big key is there, then you've actually saved time too, right? That means your partner doesn't have to go back, you know, and kind of retrace some of your steps. It's all about the trade-offs here. I'm not sure like how either of them are feeling about, you know, like, or either any of the four of these guys are feeling about the race.
You know,
it's a little faster.
Gamma and GGW have to feel good about the Ice Rod, and probably at the same time feel pretty terrible about the Quake.
Yeah. I mean, granted, it's not like Gem and Telethar really got there that much faster, but it is definitely, I would say, non-trivial. Now, that being said, though, when are they going to get the Ice Rod?
Although you could also make the argument the other way, like had Gamma and GGW had Quake knowledge, maybe they go into Turtle Rock looking for the Ice Rod.
True.
You know, the order of operations of when you pick up the items is just as important.
Yes. No, 100% agree. All right. Well, looks like though Gem is out. We're gonna go check Gem's absolute favorite location. It looks like in the entirety of the game, which is Catfish.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, so this is kind of going to be what I said in that, you know, Telethar is going to be the one to do Spy Cave, and so he's going to be the one to get the knowledge and get the Ice Rod, which means Gem is going to have to climb again.
You have
both runners, both Gem and Telethar have largely done the front half, but they both have the TR big key. So they're going to be able to save a little bit of time as we get back into Turtle Rock, but it's going to be really tight.
Yeah, right. And I think so. It looks like actually Telethar hasn't done Hera yet, and GGW and Gamma both have, right?
Yeah, GGW did Hera on his way to Turtle Rock. So yeah, that is another very good point. Is that, you know, something that Telethar is going to have to do. It's not long. It takes what, 40 seconds? But 40 seconds.
Yeah, no, 40 seconds here. I mean, well, they lost game. You know, I mean, it was a 7-second margin of difference between, you know, in for game 2. You know, GGW and Gamma's favor. Yeah. All right. So okay, at least Gem's not going to make it, you know, too far into Swamp, I guess.
I mean, he won't even get into Swamp.
You're right. It's only, I think it was only like 20 seconds from Link's house to check the shovel spot.
Something like that.
Which is definitely much less time than, you know, just this. All right, there is the Ice Rod.
Okay.
But it does actually maybe look like, all things, you know, said and done, it maybe does look like GW and Gamma are a little bit of ahead.
Yes. I mean, like, yeah, and GGW is slightly ahead of Telethar with the Hera clear. So yeah, I think the pendulum is ever. We talk pendulum. There's no pendulum. But I think the advantage is slightly in GGW and Gamma's favor.
Yeah,
which
it
is
certainly.
wild. This has been a crazy seed.
It has. I mean, and you mentioned before, right? It really did look like Gem and Telethar were on a very, very immaculate route, right? Very solid. Gotten like did the order of operations all very correctly, or I mean, like as best as you can, especially for playing the seed without a spoiler log or anything like that. And they sequenced things so well. Got to Dark World first, got their mitts first, got every, even got the Creep Medallion first. It just, I mean, but this terrible Ice Rod location, it is. It can, again, this can definitely play very much of a spoiler. Now that being said, though, no one is kind of in the clear. Gem and Telethar and GW and Gamma are excellent execution, and of course, we don't know where that GT Big Key is. Things can happen, so we'll out it in to see in this case, but it is definitely very much a race.
Yeah. And like you can now start to see the lead that Gamma and GGW have, because like
Scout Lumberjack,
at this point you now start to look at which runners are closest together to each other on the opposing team, and for that it's GGW and Telethar, in which case GGW has the lead, given that he is now heading to Laser Bridge right now. And then we look at Gamma versus Gem, and
you would have done that when you went.
At this point, Gamma is going to be ever so slightly ahead of Gem, especially now that Gem just got Dead Rock.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
It's also just a very, very difficult decision, I think, to make in Gem and Telethar shoes, because again, like it's like, especially for these type of like I mean, I guess it's more classically oriented when you're looking for that Ice Rod, but it's like, well, at what point do you go into Turtle Rock looking for that Ice Rod when there are up to what 5 items potentially that are that could be the Ice Rod, versus especially like Spike Cave, you're climbing the mountain basically just for Spike Cave, right? And
they collectively had, like, Gem and Telethar collectively had Spike Cave, Catfish, and Left Side Swamp. So 3 items versus 5 items.
Yeah.
The answer, like, the choice is obvious. And yet I would almost argue that, some of the newer waves of runners would be like, go for the 3, and I'd be like, I'm gonna fight you.
Fight. You have a couple titles to your name. I think you could do some fighting.
Where are you at?
Yeah, it looks like, all right, so GW looks like he is going to be the first one to finish Trinex, but yeah, so Gem and Telethar and Gamma are in varying stages of TR. Now that being said, as you mentioned before, like in order to get through, like TR is not going to take as long as maybe for Gem and Telethar, as maybe like you might think it is, because it is actually surprising. It's only 2 minutes and change to actually get back from the beginning of Turtle Rock to go to Trinex. So it's definitely faster than like as you mentioned before, right? Full go mode TR for even versus like non-go mode TR. Right.
And one thing that significantly helped Gamma and GGW is that they got the second small key, or they got the small key that they needed in Crystal Roller, so they didn't need to touch Laser Bridge.
Yeah. Again, and Laser Bridge is one of those very well, arguably like more dense locations. Oh my god, jump. This is not helping. And like but it is if you don't have to go there, right, it is a pretty non-trivial amount of time you can save, right? 15-20 seconds, especially for margins that you maybe, especially at this point, you probably can't afford to give. It's going to be something pretty shaky. But GW now is in GT. The actual
and we see even Gamma is ahead of Telethar at this point, so there is now
in the pipe too,
at this stage in the game, unfortunately you have to call it a significant lead. Also, is our timer just not moving? I was about to say, like, there's no way we're 43 minutes into this scene.
You're right, it might be.
I was like, I refuse to believe we have done everything in 43 minutes.
It doesn't feel that. I mean, it feels honestly, okay, if you told me
we're an hour and 7 into the seed. We're an hour and 7.
I didn't notice until now. I just kind of assumed that. I was like, I was even looking at the time too. I'm like, that's actually pretty fast. So co-op. I guess it's co-op, so maybe it's okay.
I was just like, this is insane.
Yeah, but I mean, again, like that being said, though, like we do have, so everyone has pretty comfy equipment. We actually do see GW pick up Gold Sword in Staffel's room as well. Kind of makes me think that Gamma's not going to have that. I don't think it'll hurt his chances, in the end game. But they certainly do at least have, it's going to be, GW and Gamma are solidly in GT before Telethar and Gem.
Did GGW Is GGW doing a full left or at least straight to the rando rush?
That's what it seems like. Cause he didn't go into Hope Room.
Little interesting, because like I would say usually if you're splitting up and you have like one person is in GT a little bit ahead of your opponent or a little bit ahead of your teammate, you know, you kind of want to, or at least most runners would do the DM strat. Oh, and it just in there anyways.
Yeah. Well, it's just random room. You know, sometimes you end up picking the right route. You know, or the correct route.
That was the best route to take. Can't
be fine.
Can't complain.
Yeah, so I'm gonna assume in this case that we'll tell them to do the same thing. I mean, it will certainly benefit him if he ends up doing the same thing.
It'll benefit him, but I think he's going to be just far enough ahead of Gem to be like, all right, I can DM route while you go the full left route.
Yeah. But I think in terms of, you know, just like raw number of checks gained per time unit, I think Stealth's room is supposed to be. Well, I think maybe in general, like a Compass room or Hope room into Compass, you can get the small key is supposed to be the best. But but barring that, it's probably still going to be Southwest room into Compass room. Yeah.
I think that's correct. And you're seeing telethar do that just now. Like you know, he's able to basically tell, you know, Gem, all right, you know, just go full left.
No key and Hope.
Okay, so I'll go left.
So Gem is going to actually overtake telethar. See now it's a pride race. Now it goes from obviously you still want to win, but now it's also you want to beat your teammate.
Yeah, it does happen. Even when it's co-op, it's not supposed to be, you know, like you're supposed to be on a team together. There's always, you can't really get rid of that, you know, friendly spirit of a competition. You know, which I think is all, you know, it's all camaraderie, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so GGW through the gauntlet, now going to be fighting Lanmo 2. He's on gold sword silvers. He's comfy.
In here.
Telethar's on gold sword silvers. He's comfy. Gamma and Gem are going to be on tempered silvers. They're comfy. This is comfy.
Yeah, no, especially compared to kind of like earlier on, we weren't really even sure where that, you know, where our tempered nor silvers were going to come from, and now suddenly, you know. Even for co-op, I'm pretty surprised actually at the level of health and, you know, stuff we have here. Certainly, you know, when, especially in this case, if you know, if your partner tells you, hey, there's a sword here, but you know, co-op can still be pretty light in terms of actual equipment.
I mean, I think it's, you know, kind of uncommon to see all 4 runners on a second row of health.
Are you on 0 right now?
Yeah. Going into random room.
Did we end up finding a key? On maybe GGW went Stealth's room and there was another key in there, because you know, I'm kind of curious also about some more about team team banter here. And
go back to the DM room.
Gem is missing a key for the climb.
So there must have been a ton of keys in Stealth's room then, which a little unfortunate because, you know, it's time.
Bottom left. Oh yeah, bottom left is the key for DM, and then it was bottom right for the sword.
Okay, yeah, I think I'll just get it.
And suddenly
GGW is missing a key. I think he maybe just didn't kill.
Boy, howdy, would this be a swing?
Yeah.
Every time, dude.
Okay.
All right. Okay. We're I think this might have happened before too. I have some memory of this. But I mean, yeah, it's a little bit more of a panic, but
it happens to everybody.
It does, especially. I mean, you know, and. So none of these 4 guys are strangers to, you know, high stakes or high pressure, you know, matches. I think every single one of these guys have been in finals and won something to some extent, right? And so, but you know, again, like it's not like race nerves get any easier significantly, right? You're still probably pretty aware of everything that's kind of like going on here. But as you said, maybe, you know, it is also for the pride thing. You know, GW's probably racing Gamma. It's like, oh no, I can't give up this stuff. It's like, Gamma, where are you right now? And still, maybe it's okay.
And like you said, at this point, you're also kind of communicating with your teammate. Hey, where you at? Like, you can start thinking, okay, you know, we're 40 seconds apart, we're 30 seconds apart, we're a minute apart. What is, you know, little things like that. Again, this is co-op. Hey, this is the co-op final, by the way. This is game 3. This is it.
This is for everything, correct? This is for absolutely everything. Maybe one of the benefits. Yeah.
I was gonna say, if you haven't followed the runners, follow the runners. But you know, if you haven't followed the runners, what are you doing?
Yeah, I think these guys. I mean, I'm trying to think that when.
Honestly,
I'm sure these guys have been in the community for quite some time. I want to say maybe. I think Telthar's always been around, but he's probably gotten a bit more exposure, I guess. Like he's really come onto the scene as like this like gigantic rando killer.
Oh yeah.
And probably recently, but I think he's been playing for a little bit more than that. Yeah, I'm just trying to think. So I think so. Yeah, and I think between all 4 of these guys, they probably have like 15 titles between them. So
something like that. I mean,
yeah,
GGW
a lot.
Champion. Gem has won, I think, multiple Kaz boots, or
he's gotten I think goodness a few second place in like SGL stuff. He won bingo earlier this year. He won like the Only Doors beginners tournament. Telethar also on the same league team as GGW. That won. He won. Telethar also won co-op cross keys with Humbug. Gamma has at least 2, I think, 80 keys titles.
So yeah, both 80 keys titles. I know he was a runner-up in a main tournament, losing to Dante, who, thank you for the restream, Dante, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Couldn't be doing this without him.
That's right. Yeah, and I think and Gamma's also got like a slew of like ladder invitational wins as well. Does GW have one? He might have one. I mean, I think he does. Just they won too much stuff. I'm pretty sure GW has like Open Plus or something.
Honestly,
yeah,
I think
all won
GW
too much.
has an invitational title, but that should be Silver Arrow number 4. GG's to GGW will be our first place winner, and we'll be able to lord that over Gammachuu, I'm sure.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, big GG's. Yeah, GW finishing first out of the 4.
You just finished.
Yeah.
Very, very, very tight race, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a battle from start to finish. These guys played very, very well, you know, execution-wise.
Honestly, I think if the Ice Ride is just in Turtle Rock, I mean, Gem and Telethar
they would have
a clear victory here.
Yes, it would have been probably, you know, several minute lead, probably. You know, barring, you know, other surprises that we're not aware of. Yeah, but it looks like, you know, like Gem and Telethar are going to finish up basically just like one, looks like Ganon fight behind.
Yeah, pretty much.
Also one Gamma fight behind, but you know, it's
So yeah, GG's to Gamma, and this will give Bumper Ledge United the championship, the title. Congrats to them. And we do see that Gem and Telethar are both choosing to forfeit. Of course, they only had Ganon left.
Yep.
Again, very close race.
That was a good ride.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah, big GG's. Like, this was an incredibly tight race, and
strikes again.
I mean, like, in terms of how like rando quality can go, in terms of like, you know, quality races, like this is this entire series was just bonkers. You know, off the wall, lots of back and forth. Obviously, top tier talent being displayed here. You know, it is incredibly. It's just tight. Like, and it was a big pleasure to be able to watch, you know, the entire series here.
Absolutely, and like you said, just, you know, fantastic rando from everyone involved.
Yeah, everybody played well. I mean, and you know, and you, as you said, you know, at the heart of it, right, it is randomizer. You cannot control where the items are. Right?
So we're gonna see about getting in some of the runners for an interview, but it looks like Gem and Telethar are having fun just killing Ganon anyways.
And that's all good. It's all good.
We are joined by Gamma and GGW. Hello, GG's to both of you.
Yo, guys, GG's.
Thanks, GG.
Hey, GG's, GG's.
Just as we drew it up.
If I had to guess, it was, I assume Quake. They got Quake before going up the mountain.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was also, I mean, it was still just a blind check from Telethar getting Quake off of that.
Oh, really?
So yeah.
Wait, blind check?
Yeah.
When did they do Aga then? When did he do it?
I think Telethar definitely was the first to do Aga, and I think it was sort of as, I don't want to say they were running out of stuff, but their early game was definitely a little bit better. Telethar did go to East Death Mountain before Dark World, so he was able to pick up flippers, hookshot, ether. Went to Swamp, got the mid. So like early on, it was definitely looking like Gem and Telethar were you know, in the lead. By the way, they are now both joining us. GG's to both of you.
Yo, guys, GG's.
And yeah, it was just a matter of Gamma picking up the Ice Rod before you guys found Quake. That kind of gave it to you, because Gem and Telethar went into Turtle Rock looking for Ice Rod.
Yeah.
That's understandable. GG's telethar Gen. Yeah.
GG.
Yeah, GG's.
GG's. Yeah, we went in together with, I think, only Catfish and
Left side swamp.
Left side swamp as our and Spike Cave as our remaining checks.
That's
We're
totally
like, all right,
fair.
well.
I mean, me and GGW were absolutely about to do that. You know, we finished up. We talked about it as they were like, we're Ice Rock Go mode most likely. Just clear up our dungeons and we both YOLO the mountain. And I told them, you know, do Aga just in case Ice Rod's not here. That way we both don't, you know, double dip.
Yeah.
PR.
Yeah.
And but then I found out. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry,
yeah. I just, you know, when I found out it was bomb, I was like, well, you know, I think you were already in Aga at that point, GGW. But I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna clear up everything up here. Yeah, getting the Ice Rod felt pretty good, but that Quake medallion, I don't know how to think. You know, I was thinking about that with GG. I was talking about it with GGW. Like, is this a good thing? They might see that early, and they might maybe double dip TR. It sounds like that's exactly what happened then. Yeah.
No, we did not see it early. We had nothing left. We killed Aga. I mean, we had killed Aga earlier, but like from the Aga portal, we did hookshot over, did Graveyard Ledge, Scout Bumper, and then found Quake with 3 checks left in the game.
The same 3 checks that we talked about: Catfish, Left Side Swamp, and Spike Cave.
Yeah, and it just happened to be Spike Cave instead of TR.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I told GW, should I check that when I did Bumper Cave? And he didn't even want me to do Bumper Cave. Like, I'm like, I like whatever. It can't be there, right? All we had left when we found that Quake though was Left Side Swamp when I missed Meyer. Yeah, those 2. But you know, getting the Ice Rod before was just, you know, obviously the difference maker here.
And
yeah, I think when I did Doctor's Mountain, we had a few things left. That's why I didn't want to do Spike Cave at the time.
I mean, it was very reasonable. Like, again, you know, to kind of reiterate, like the fact that Telethar chose to do East Death Mountain before the rest of the Dark World gave you guys kind of a pretty big advantage, given that, you know, Paradox contained so many things and led to the myths, and it really felt like you guys were kind of pulling away a little bit, but just ever so slowly not finding the Ice Rod, learning that Quake was needed. It was just a little bit like it just kind of slowly edged back towards Gamma and GGW. But you both, like all 4 of you, put on a fantastic race. I don't know if you see the restream, but the restream says you guys finished at 43 minutes and 18 seconds. Not quite that, but
record time.
Still really
GG
good.
then.
Yeah, GG's.
You guys didn't Gem and Telethar. You guys didn't have like Dark World access before you won the mountain, or you just decided to clear up, you know, check to see if those gloves were going to be a logic pre-Dark World, or you know, as maybe logical myths, because we assumed, you know, the lamp is just in East Death Mountain. That's it.
No, so So what happened was I did Eastern and Gem got his glove and then did Eastern basically, and then, you know, he had already gotten hammer and fire rod and all that. So after Eastern, I got my hammer, got my fire rod, went up the mountain, got my glove, but like Gem is doing Dark World stuff on the you know, south, so like I'm gonna go do Spec Rock, Hera, Paradox, right? Like it's a good chunk of checks. He's already doing Hype Cave into Pod, and then just found everything.
Yeah, we were hoping to wait till we get Mitts, and then we get the Swamp package up there. We felt pretty bad because we had already cleared Pod, Skull, and Thieves Town at that point. It's like, it's probably up there, I think.
Yeah, blind pulled Pet.
Oh.
So did Gamma.
Actually, yeah. GGW finished Skull and had the book. Why am I checking Ped? It could be there. It could be there. You assumed there was Ped then Turtle Rock.
Damn it, you never even picked up the book.
No, because he had just done both
tablets.
Right,
yeah, you would have known
like,
at that point.
I'm not gonna pick that. Yeah, so I was like, I'm not picking that up. Yeah, it sounds like that Ice Rod is basically bailing us out right there. But that's understandable too, because yeah, we were ready, me and G, to just go right in there.
Yeah, legend has it that you know when Ice Rod's not in TR. That's like your superpower.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
So the fact
there's.
that he knew it was in TR, it is not
I
his
mean, it was.
superpower.
Yeah. There was 3 checks outside the game and 6 checks in TR. So like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just, I would say, like, I'd be like, any reasonable person makes the TR play. But I've also seen enough, newer players around to be like, I'm going to do the 3 outside of Turtle and I'm like, I'm going to fight you. But
yeah,
you guys
I just
played this.
You guys
great,
found the better order, and that's just how rando goes. So it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
but thanks
Really-
again. For
Yeah, it was a
putting up
really
the
exciting
restream.
series. Thank you guys so much.
Should have done more co-op cross keys instead.
Best of
Yeah.
5.
Best of 5.
Mm.
Damn right.
Best of
I was trying
you
to
guys were
find-
talking in the pre-race about doing like best of 7. Gem offered a best of 69. I mean, now's
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
Now's the time to take him up on that.
I just don't want this tournament to ever end.
I don't know. There was already an
That's
announcement
a problem.
posted in the Discord, so
Have you seen Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, where they're dueling with death? Every time they beat him, he's just like best of 5. They go play like battleships, and then best of 7. Damn right.
well, I guess if you guys have any final words, any final thoughts before we say goodbye.
Not just thank you again, putting up the restream, and GG's again, Gem and Telethar for the race, and the organizer for putting in all this together.
Yep.
Yeah,
GG's.
I can't
Love
just agree
co-op.
with that. Yeah, love
Yeah.
co-op.
Enjoyed the tournament,
GG's.
even though ideally it didn't have a 2-month break in the middle, but otherwise very good.
Twice.
Twice.
I think part of that was addressed in this final announcement. If you haven't read it yet.
No, I just saw the thing like the moment this race finished. They were just like, okay, no more races. We're putting up the episodes.
We're done. Goodbye. But this definitely was still just an enjoyable tournament from a spectator perspective. And again, if anyone in chat hasn't followed either of these forerunners, please do. They are really, 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 really good. Multiple championships among all of them. You can't get better than the 4 you see here. That's all I had.
Thank you all so much. No, I just want to echo everything Walkick said. You guys are phenomenal people. Always a pleasure to be able to watch. And this is like, as good as Rando's gonna get in terms of, top tier execution and gameplay. So thank you guys so much. Absolute blast to be able to do this entire series for you guys.
And I think shout out
Yeah,
to
thanks
Dante
for always
for
being there to contact.
yeah, and shout out to Dante for offering the restream.
Yeah,
Very,
thank you
very
so
good.
much, Dante. Yeah, he's not even like present here. He is actually out of town remotely. But he said that come, hell or high water, he's going to make the restream happen. So very, very much appreciated. He did the entire series for this. Very, very much appreciated. Thank you all again to the admins. Thank you so much, Wallkicks. Absolute blast to be able to game through with you.
Of course, Clairmouse. Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully there'll be more co-op. It doesn't maybe look like it'll be in tournament form anytime soon, but until then, there's plenty of other rando to be played. So until then, best of luck in whatever other tournaments you guys are participating in. Until then, have a great rest of your day.